So we're in a good place to reach the goals that are set out. It will hopefully in the reconciliation very soon. But everybody knows that when they make that vote, it will be signed by Joe Biden.
Banned, not cut, Social Security. What's your plan?
Well, Scott, that does sound like me. We have throughout this country millions of seniors trying to get by on $12,000, $13,000, $14,000 a year. I don't know how they do it.
I immediately moved to make that text the base of the bill here on the floor, as promised. Last night, Democrats offered to begin the amendment process right away. There are 3 bipartisan amendments to the bill we're ready to consider. 2 are led by Republicans, a Round-Smith amendment and a Thune-Tester amendment, and another from Senators Padilla and Moran.
So I want to thank the senators who worked hard and long to get this effort this far already. I'm confident that out of the 100 of us who serve in this body, 100 will be able to find parts of the legislation that we wish were different.
This is paid for. This is not going to raise taxes on people. This is instead taking some money that was already appropriated, not used for COVID relief. We're going to bring that back and use it to help build infrastructure. This is a bill which is paid for and that gives the American people say they desperately need, and that is an upgrade in our infrastructure. Now, of course, you know it was several months ago that this group came together. We call ourselves affectionately the G10. Senator Portman and Senator Sinema have shown enormous patience and persistence and resolve getting this across the finish line.
In saying that today we have got to expand Medicare to cover dental, hearing aids, and eyeglasses. That expanding Medicare is the right thing. Lowering the cost of prescription drugs is the right thing. Vice President had to come in and cast the deciding vote because we couldn't get one Republican in the Senate to support that legislation. This is what policy is about. As a result of that one bill,
I immediately moved to make that text the base of the bill here on the floor, as promised. Last night, Democrats offered to begin the amendment process right away. There are 3 bipartisan amendments to the bill we're ready to consider. 2 are led by Republicans, a Round-Smith amendment and a Thune-Tester amendment, and another from Senators Padilla and Moran. Let me be clear. These 3 amendments would constitute only the first tranche of potential amendments. The Senate can and should consider more afterwards. I'd encourage senators from both sides of the aisle to submit potential amendments to the bill. And as we have already done several times this year, on the Anti-Asian Hate Crimes Bill and the U.S. Innovation and Competition Act, just to name 2 examples, the majority will work with the minority to put together packages of amendments for the Senate to vote on. At the moment, we need consent from our Republican colleagues to start the amendment process, and we await their answer. I hope we can use our time in the Senate efficiently. Let's start voting on amendments. The longer it takes to finish the bill, the longer we'll be here. I yield the floor and note the absence of a quorum.
Clerk will call the roll.
Ms. Baldwin.
Even Social Security checks get garnished. Penalties and fees that mount up mean that someone who has borrowed $10,000, if they start to fall behind, can suddenly discover they owe 12 or 15 or even more. The choice about what to pay will fall hardest on the most vulnerable among us. 40% of those with student loan debt do not have a diploma. The majority of Black borrowers do not have a diploma. They are paying for college on a high school graduate's wages. Seniors, people who are unemployed, will also be put to hard choices. Pew recently did a study and determined that about 2/3 of borrowers are not ready for payments to resume, that they will find it difficult to manage their debts. These people live with a sword hanging over their heads, and every day that goes by, that sword draws a little closer. This is a matter of economic justice. it is a matter of racial justice. The President of the United States can remove this sword. The President can prevent this pain. The President can cancel $50,000 in student loan debt. He can wipe out all debt for about 36 million Americans, that's 85% of borrowers, and make life a whole lot easier for the remaining 15%. So we're here today to say, tick-tock, tick-tock, Mr. President. Millions of Americans ask you now to pick up a pen and cancel student loan debt, to pick up a pen and extend the payment pause, to pick up a pen and make their lives better.
That's all. Well, that's not the only thing we're asking, but that's the first thing we're asking. We are also continuing to call on President Biden to use his existing legal authority to cancel up to $50,000 of student debt. This pause has actually shown how important canceling student debt is to borrowers and to our economy. We've heard about how being saddled with this debt has affected millions of Americans' lives on so many choices that they'd like to make. They're not able to pursue the career they want. They're putting off getting married or starting a family. They aren't able to open a business, buy a house, even buy a car, which many of them need to get to work. So we know how much of a difference extending the pause makes. Well, 10 times over, canceling $50,000 in debt would be even more important and helpful to these folks who are borrowers, to get the economy going, and to deal with the racial inequality which student debt has exacerbated. Resuming these payments could stall our country's economic recovery. It could bring millions of loan borrowers to the edge of financial crisis.
Legislation that is in front of us. Don't need to take my word for it. You can just look at the number of inches of the document in front of me. It is significant. But, Mr. President, I would suggest to you that the need in this country is significant when it comes to investments in our nation's infrastructure, our core infrastructure, what we define to be our roads, our rails, our bridges, our ports, our water and sewer, our broadband. I think we recognize that we talk a lot in this chamber and perhaps on the other side as well, and presidents have come and gone and all talked about the need for more investment in our infrastructure. But the truth be told, we really haven't done a real wholesale